Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dirty Gaming and episode 12 of the Laid Back Exile series. As mentioned in the last video, I'm now going to combine 2 days into one, as it takes around 3 hours minimum for me on this build to do a Sirus rotation when I might be doing other stuff like, Guardian maps, things like that. So in regards to loot, we have had a lot of decent maps drop. We've still got a few synth maps, and we've got some Elder Guardian and Shaper Guardian maps. I've got another full Elder set, and I'm one Guardian map away from getting a full Shaper set. Now, it's 24 hours into mapping now, and this is where I kind of wanted to take stock of the build, look at whether I'm enjoying it, what improvements do I need on the build. And there are aspects of the build that I'm really not liking at the moment, and unfortunately it needs some specific gear to be able to fix it. So I might be re-rolling to another character, but we'll come on to that in a bit. I have got, obviously, all my Atlas unlocked. We've got 80 completion. We've done a few rounds of Conquerors. We've failed Sirus as in the title, and I'll come on to that again in a moment. And I'm just really not enjoying this build, and the specific gear that I need, I'm going to have to target farm Delirium and stuff like that and hope that it drops. So it could be days from here before I get the gear that I need. And if I'm not enjoying the build, is it really worthwhile doing? I'm going to keep the build because it's still really good for some things that, again, we'll come on to later. But essentially, the build served its purpose. It's really, really comfortable doing T14 to T16 maps, and it's fine doing Conquerors, Shaper, Elder, and the Guardians. So there were 2 fights, essentially, that made me realise I need to change the build. The first was my first Maven 10-way, which was horrific, and then it was A8 Sirus. And it's for different reasons that I'm not liking the build, and it's different things that really need to be improved for each fight. So the footage in the background shows the fun that I had with the 10-way. It was pretty bad bosses, to be fair, but at this stage you don't get many maps, so you take what you can get. And it was just AoE everywhere, and both myself and my minions were getting decimated with essentially level 22 and in some cases 24 minion gems. The skellies were dying instantly, so I was pretty much ZDPS once the first lot died. And to fix it, I need a medium minion cluster jewel, with the notable that makes your minions not take any damage for the first few seconds of their life. I think obviously if we had the Skelly Mage Jewel again, that'd be better because the range ones are a bit more, they've got better AI than the melee skeletons. I still don't like the way they behave a lot of the time. I also think if I want to tackle harder content, that I need to redo the Ascendancy and go for offerings and get block and spell block. The Fizz mitigation from armor's nice when mapping, but bosses that have spells are destroying me. So Sirus, for example, even with 7k EHP, lots of Fizz mitigation, and corrupted blood immunity, if the die beam tags me twice, I'm pretty much dead. The main thing that's making me want to reroll is the lag was absolutely insane in Sirus, and the visual clutter from all the minions is really hard to see what's going on. I've got quite bad color blindness, so most of the time in Sirus I couldn't even tell where my character was, and obviously the lag on top of that doesn't help. For some reason the lag didn't seem to come across that much in the recording, but my software did give up halfway through the fight, which suggests my PC was definitely struggling. So this clip is an example. Maybe I'm blind, but I'm 100% sure I don't get hit by this die beam. But every single one tags me and I die. And that was my first death in the fight. And it kind of put me off a little bit. And then it just went downhill from there. I don't know whether it did hit me and I just don't see it, or there's some sort of splash or chain from minions, or I'm desyncing so I'm not where I think I am on the screen. The second death is me being super dumb. I had my hand in the wrong place on the keyboard. So when I thought I was using a potion, I flame dashed, and then I went to flame dash and I pulled up the options menu, and that kind of tilted me from there. The recording software gave up at this point, but the rest was pretty miserable. I think I got him down to about 25% health before losing all the portals. And most deaths were similar to the first, in that I was pretty sure I wasn't getting hit by either his die beam or attacks, but something was tagging me and killing me. So either way, I'm not going to be attempting A8 on the build again because it was just not a lot of fun. If it comes around as part of a rotation, I'll just take the Watchstones out and run it on a lower difficulty because that should be pretty easy. My gems do still need flipping, so extra DPS would help a bit. But my opinion is that on this build, the fight's about as fun as Delirium everywhere. Now, there are plus points to the build. As I said, T16 mapping feels really safe. I never feel like I'm going to die. The Conquerors are fairly easy. I've done a synthesis map and that was no problem whatsoever. And all their Elder and Shaper Guardians are fairly straightforward. And Blighted maps are an absolute breeze, but then they are on most builds once you get your towers built properly. I'm definitely going to be keeping the character and trying to improve it further at some point. But I do think I'm going to bring a second character into the mix just to keep my enjoyment in the series going. I have got, which I'll show you now, a ton of gear for Lightning Strike Raider. I was looking through my gear to see if I re-rolled what I could re-roll to, and I realised I've got lots of stuff that would be pretty decent even at end game for a Lightning Strike Raider. So we obviously had the Blizzard Crown drop earlier on in the series, so that's best in slot helmet pretty much. We've crafted this just from an Imperial Claw that dropped, which is easily good enough to see me through to sort of T15, T16 maps. It's not good, but it's fine for now. We have +1 strike gloves, which are pretty difficult to get. These were rolled just for some of the leftover essences I had from farming that are no good for the minion build. We've got an uncorrupted 6-link deck space. We have 43% mana reservation anger amulet. It's also got resistance, crit multi, and crafted life, so that's really good. Got half decent Stygian Vise, some boots that need crafting, and then rings. That's probably the one thing I might look to carry on farming on the minion build for, is get some shapers done and see if we can get a shaper ring, because then I can get an assassin's mark on hit ring fairly easy through harvest. So I think that's what I might be doing, because once this character gets leveled up and the gems get flipped, it's going to, for me anyway, it's going to be easier doing Sirus and things like that in this minion build, because I just can't see what's going on half of the time. But we're still going to keep the minion character, as I said, because it's good for some stuff that this character isn't, which would be the Blighted Max, for example. Sometimes if you get really bad tower placement, you can't cheese it. This build doesn't matter because your minions just go and kill everything anyway. So the next episode is probably still going to be farming on this minion build. I'll go and do some delve, because I've not even touched delve, and be on the lookout for more lightning strike and minion gear. I'm then going to look to spend my silver coins to try and get some twice enchanted, because this build is a very safe lab runner, and if I had to pick between this and a Lightning Strike Raider, I'd much rather run it on the minion build. It's slower, but I'm very, very, very unlikely to die on this build. And then I think we'll go and do, I think we've got 3 or 4 blighted maps we can do. Got some synth maps that will get witnessed, and they should still be fine. So next episode is probably still going to be the minion build. It's going to be 3 hours of really farming gear. And in all honesty, it's a bit of a downer this episode, but the build's done what I wanted it to do. It's 100% T16 and Conqueror viable on fairly mediocre gear. So for a league starter, it was really good. The issue I have with the build is to put it to the next level, it does take quite a bit of investment or crafting or farming. It would be a different story if this was in trade, because I've got 4 raw X in my currency tab. I could spend this and pretty much get all of the gear that I need to then take the build to the next level. But in SSF, you have to really like the build you're playing, because it's a lot of farming. And the aim of this build was really just to get everything unlocked, so I've got options for other characters. So we're going to carry on with the series and keep going, and probably go until the end of the league and see how we get on. But that's really all I wanted to run through. So thanks again for watching. Take care, and see you in the next video.